It was almost 9 p.m. when Ava tucked her worn coat tighter around her frame and stepped into the warm glow of the Grand Skylight Hotel lobby. The marble floors gleamed beneath her scuffed sneakers, and the golden chandeliers above sparkled like stars she'd never been close enough to touch. She walked slowly, deliberately, past the reception and toward the banquet hall, her eyes fixed not on the rich guests in tuxedos but on the long table of untouched food. She was 17, homeless for just over 2 months, and gifted with a voice that made alley cats pause to listen. But that didn't fill stomachs. Singing in subways earned her coins, not comfort. Tonight was different. She'd heard that the CEO of Vervent Technologies, the nation's fastest-growing AI company, was hosting a gala here. Ava knew his reputation, Harold Granger. Ruthless. Rich. Loud. She also knew his after-parties ended with more food tossed than eaten. She waited in the shadows, hoping for scraps. Just then, the heavy banquet doors swung open, and laughter poured out. Men and women in gowns and tailored suits stumbled out with drinks in hand, and in the middle of it all was Granger himself, towering, flushed, and loud. A waiter passed by with a tray of canapes, and Granger grabbed 2 without looking. "Another $1 million evening wasted on empty speeches," he barked. "Where's the entertainment in this city?" Ava took a step forward. Her stomach growled louder than her nerves. "I can sing," she said quietly. Granger turned. His eyes ran over her like she was invisible, then scoffed. "Sing to me," he said with a cruel smirk, "and I'll give you my leftovers." The crowd chuckled. But Ava didn't shrink. She stepped closer, lifted her chin, and began. It wasn't just a voice. It was a storm of silk and steel, soft as moonlight and sharp as longing. She sang an old gospel hymn her grandmother once hummed when the rent was due and the lights were out. Her voice trembled at first but then found its power, a raw, haunting tone that cut through the laughter like light through smoke. The room fell silent. Granger's glass paused halfway to his lips. One of the guests whispered, "Who is she?" She ended on a note so pure that even the hotel's fountain seemed to hush in reverence. There was a beat of stunned silence. Then someone clapped. Then another. Soon, the whole room erupted. But Granger just stood there, staring. The arrogant smirk wiped clean from his face. "Where did you learn to sing like that?" he asked, more curious than kind. "My grandma," Ava replied. "She used to say, when the world doesn't listen, make it hear your soul." Someone brought her a plate piled high with food. Granger waved it off. "No. Not leftovers. Bring her a seat. A real meal." They sat her at the long table, still dressed in her second-hand coat. Some of the guests shifted uncomfortably. Others watched with fascination. Ava ate quietly but with gratitude etched in every bite. Then Granger did something no one expected. He pulled out his phone, opened a live stream, and turned the camera on her. "Say hello to the world, songbird," he said. And Ava sang again. Within hours, the video had gone viral. Homeless teen silences billionaire with her voice was trending across every platform. Talent agents called. Talk shows reached out. And offers began pouring in. But Ava didn't say yes to the first record label. Or the second. She said yes to the third, the one that promised not just money, but a scholarship, a place to live, and freedom to write songs that mattered. Weeks later, she stood on a small stage at a charity event Granger sponsored, this time not for his ego, but for homeless youth in the city. She wore a blue dress someone had donated, her hair braided back like her grandmother used to do. "Tonight's guest changed my life," Granger said in his opening speech, and reminded me that talent has no address. That dignity should never be a reward, but a right. When Ava took the mic, she looked out at the crowd, not the rich, but the young ones in the back rows. The girls with tired eyes and threadbare sweaters. The boys who hadn't smiled in weeks. She sang not just for applause, but for hope. After the show, a little girl approached her with wide brown eyes. "Miss Ava," she said, "do you think I could sing, too?" Ava knelt down and smiled. "You already can. The world just hasn't heard you yet." Granger, standing behind them, said nothing. For once, he knew when not to speak. From that night forward, he funded a music program for at-risk youth, the Ava Initiative. She visited often, not as a celebrity, but as a mentor. A girl who once sang for leftovers and now offered full plates of possibility. Years later, at Carnegie Hall, Ava performed her debut album, every song inspired by streets, soup kitchens, and the lullabies of survival. When asked what success meant to her, she simply said, "Kindness that echoes louder than applause." Because Ava knew, one voice can shake a room. One act of listening can change a life. And sometimes, the most powerful moment isn't when the world hears your song, but when it finally